Hello, welcome back. I'm Dr. Lori Williams. Everything is feeling urgent in your life right now. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is. What could be happening is that you don't have clarity on what you own. What actually is your responsibility? What do you need to take ownership on? Urgency isn't always pressure. A lot of the time, it's confusion, but it's masked as overwhelm. Essentially what's happening is that when ownership is unclear, your system doesn't know what is yours to move forward on, and what isn't. So you start to react to everything. You become super reactive, and you start over engaging, overthinking, over analyzing. You take on all the responsibilities that aren't yours, and it's not because you're incapable. You're more than capable. Essentially, what's happening though is that you're avoiding the things that are truly going on within you. So the outside, everything that's going on the outside, is just noise. And unfortunately, what happens when we're avoiding what's going on the inside is we take on that outside noise, those the responsibilities that aren't ours, in order to feel like we're doing something that's helpful or we're doing something that's productive. And this is unfortunately where a lot of people burn out. They burn out in trying to take on too much of what is not theirs. Very rarely do people actually burn out by taking on too much that is truly theirs. It's always taking on the stuff that's not theirs. So you're not necessarily like doing too much. You're just carrying stuff that's not yours. So when you're answering questions that no one assigned to you, when you are doing projects that no one assigned to you, when you're trying to solve problems that maybe maybe two people that you really care about that you love are not getting along, and you're trying to solve the problems that's going on between them. But the truth of it is that relationship has nothing to do with you. Their problems have nothing to do with you. You can try to be helpful, try to be supportive, and be there for them. But at the end of the day, you have no responsibility in being able to solve anything or to heal any kind of rift between them. So essentially, when we do this, in most cases, the reason that we want to get into like all the stuff that's other people's responsibilities is so that we can feel as though we are moving forward. But you will never actually move forward by looking at the things that's going on with other people or taking on the responsibilities of others. You can only do that by looking at the stuff that's going on within yourself. But unfortunately, when we look at all the outside, what's going on outside of us, and we listen to all that outside noise, we're actually, it's taking us away from the things, from our own growth and from our own, the our own internal authority, essentially, like our own self trust. Every time you focus on something outside of yourself, it's always going to feel urgent. The outside noise is always urgent, but clear ownership is going to require you to trust yourself enough to know that not only are you capable of looking at yourself, deeply looking at yourself, but also that you're capable of keeping yourself, you know, safe as you're working through the things that you're working through. It requires you to decide like what's actually mine. That's essentially what this clarity is going to ask you. It's going to ask you what is mine and what is it that I need to put down. Like in the example I was giving earlier about relationships, if it's not yours, and the clearest way to figure out if it is yours or not is to ask yourself the question: have I now or ever have had the ability to change the outcome? If the answer is yes, then there's at least a partial responsibility in it for you. If the answer is no, then it was never yours. And you can try all day to try to make it work, to try to change the outcome. But if you don't have any power in the situation, it's never going to have the outcome that you want. It will never. It's futile. Even the most well-meaning people trying to fix the things outside of themselves, it's only futile. It's everyone has to look within themselves. A lot of people will get into relationships thinking that they can fix the other person, and they do that at the cost of themselves because they're avoiding themselves. This is not someplace when you're trying to figure out what is yours and what's not. I encourage you to not look at it from a place of being emotional or reactive, because everything feels can feel like our own. Everything can feel heavy. It can feel like that urgency. It can feel like we just need to take care of it right now. Um, but the truth of it is when something is truly yours, you will be able to move forward in it. It's not going to feel that like chaotic, like there's no end, there's no possibility of it, of a good outcome to it. That's how you know it's not yours. It's going to be very direct. It might feel heavy, absolutely, but it's not going to have the urgency or the panic that's behind it. Um, the truth is not everything that is urgent is real, and not everything real is urgent. And it's really up to for you to decide uh, what is true for you and what's not. But clarity helps to remove that false urgency. Ownership is going to, when you take ownership with for your responsibilities and things that are going on within you, that actually helps to remove that outside noise so that you can actually learn to focus, be able to focus on what's going on internally. If everything feels urgent in your life right now, you're probably not overwhelmed. You've probably been telling yourself that you're overwhelmed, but in most cases, you're actually not overwhelmed. You're just overextended into the things that don't belong to you. So, what can you actually start to move today? What can you release today that has nothing to do with you, or that is does not belong to you in any way, shape, or form? That's going to be your starting point in being able to release and to stop this feeling of burnout and this feeling of overwhelm. Um, not like I don't want you to just take on everything. I don't want you to just say, well, because it's loud, it needs my attention right now, that it means that I have to do it. Unfortunately, that's usually a sign that no, it's not actually yours, and that's something that you need to put down. This is exactly what we break down inside a pattern exposure session. We identify what you're carrying, and that was never yours. And also, we work together to figure out what it is that you're avoiding that is yours, and figure out the patterns behind it of, why are you avoiding it? What is the pattern that's, the avoidance is the pattern, but what is the core issue that's going on that's driving that pattern and keeping you stuck in this loop? If you would like to book a pattern exposure session with me, you can do so through the link in the description. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you back here next time.